Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in JT Best Ball. Y'all know how we do. We're drafting here almost every night, 9:45. Miami. I was gonna look up some stats and stuff that I had looked into earlier. I was gonna pull them up for you guys, but I literally sat down at my desk, barely in time to hop on because club sports with youth these days is getting crazy, and my night was insanely hectic with some stuff going on with one of my daughters and her team or teams, multiple teams, I guess I should say, they want her to do. But, anyways, maybe we can get into that a little bit later. I have an intro video that I've been working on for you guys, but I did not quite have time to finish it today. Oh, why is it not sharing that? Hmm. I don't know why it won't let me share my screen so we can do some best ball like you guys want. Add to stage. The heck? Save. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. A little bit of technical difficulty. We did switch over to StreamYard a couple days ago, and I'm still trying to work with all the buttons and all the clicky things, and it wouldn't pull up for some reason like I wanted it to. Anyways, Miami, I didn't get a chance to put in all of the stuff that I put together, the little stat package I was going to present to you guys, because like I said, club soccer with my daughter was just insane tonight with multiple coaches trying to drag her in multiple directions because the national coach, I think, wants to groom her for his team in a couple years. I don't know. It was a mess. Anyways, are you guys in or out on Miami? I've been saying this on stream, so I thought we'd talk about them a little bit at the beginning today. I feel like in best ball, sometimes we have too much of a recency bias, and they had a very down year last year. Waddle was never really hurt, but banged up a lot throughout the year. So we sent him down way lower than what he probably should be going. Last year, we had no problem drafting him at the 2-3 turn. Tyreek had a little bit of a down year. There's the risk with him potentially going crazy. But if Tyreek keeps his head on right, I mean, 2 years ago, the guy was like an elite receiver, set, really, really high standards as far as like his efficiency ratings and all that stuff. And I just feel like we could very easily see the Miami Dolphins come out and be the old Miami Dolphins. If Tua can somewhat stay healthy most of the year and not have tons of concussion issues and be productive, we got Achan doing his thing. We got Hill now cheaper than he's ever been. We got Waddle cheaper than he's ever been. So they have been massive clicks for me. I would say probably at an equal clip. Like I don't really necessarily. I guess Waddle is the better value in my opinion, just for where he goes, because there's always the well, if Hill does go crazy, but Tua's healthy and Achan is still there and he's doing good, well, that just opens up the door for Waddle to be a true number one type player. In which case, in a good offense with a good coach, good little, he's undervalued definitely where he's at. For sure, in that case, he's already undervalued if Hill's there as the number two, in my opinion. But, anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about him at the start here. We are going to flip over to the Underdog page and look for some contest, and not really because we already know what we're going to do. They dropped the new one on us today. They dropped the Puppy Superflex. I've been watching people stream it today. I've been listening to people talk about it. It's time we dip our toes in. It's basically set up the same as the other puppy. We got our 2 of 12, 1 of 10, 1 of 10, 100K up top. I believe it's about a 375 person final, with 750 being your min cash if you make it. That is what we're gonna hop into tonight. We'll talk strategy. I'm gonna go with the 30-second clock at least for the first one, because it was a really, really, really hectic last few hours just with the whole club soccer thing and everything I was talking about. It was a mess out at the fields tonight. Um, I just want to kind of chill, make sure I have time to make my picks, talk through some of them with you guys. I think it was me and Hartman were on last night. We did a 20-second BBM. I'm still fully getting adjusted to the 20-second clock, being a guy that used to play primarily on DraftKings. And it was in the later rounds, luckily, and we were thinking about who we wanted for a tight end. Probably would have went with, I think it was Chig or somebody else, but Mr. Dalton Schultz got auto picked for us because he happened to be the top tight end left in the queue. It wasn't that big a deal because ADP wise, he was the top tight end, and we were probably going to pick a tight end anyways. I don't really like Dalton Schultz though, so we don't want it to happen again. We're going to run a 30-second clock at least for the first one. 6 more people is what we're waiting on. I'm going to send a little message out in the Discord real quick. But you guys let me know. Are you guys in on Miami? Are some of them major targets for you? Meaning you try to get them even ahead of ADP? Are you just playing them at or around ADP? Are you out on them? If you're out on them, I'd be very interested to hear why you're out on them. We are waiting for 6 more people to join. Tomorrow night, we have another guest lined up. Some of y'all may know him, Mr. Who Hames. I think he's only going to be on here for one draft. He has a hard out that he's got to hit, and we don't want to push into it. So we'll probably just do one. I don't know what we'll do. I'll leave it up to him. I'm down for whatever. We might do a BBM. Maybe we'll do a sprint. I'll see what kind of contest he's into and what he feels like doing, and we'll go from there. If you don't know who he is, he streams at about 4 o'clock most days. Really good guy, knows ball. I like listening to his streams. Normally I'm driving my kids around to all of their extracurricular activities, and I don't like to listen to their music, so I pop my earbuds in and listen to good old Who Hames while I'm driving my daughters around. Waiting on 4. This is a new contest. It'll probably fill up pretty quick, I would imagine. Strategy-wise, I found something very interesting. I didn't do a ton of them last year because I was a DraftKings guy last year. Always had been until now. We are officially an underdog bro, though, from this point on. But I did do, I think it was about 14 or 15. Like I said, not a lot. And literally, it could just be the way it worked out, and every year is different. But literally, the only 2 teams that advanced out of those 14 or 15, I found it very interesting that looking back over the draft boards, both of them came from, I'll say, the back half of the draft. And I did not take a quarterback early, meaning the first round or second round. Probably waited longer than most people would feel comfortable with in a super flex, taking quarterbacks, or at least multiple quarterbacks. Like the team that did the best, it actually won its pod. I think it was very, very crazy looking back on it, but it won its pod, and the quarterbacks were Cousins, Fields, and Watson. I took Cousins, and I think it was like maybe the 3rd round from what I remember. Maybe, no, it had to have been the 4th round because the team was carried by Bijan, Barkley, and Lamb. So I'm assuming those 3 were my first 3 picks. And then Cousins was in the 4th round of that one. Deshaun didn't even play last year. He was one of the 3 quarterbacks that was on the team. And we're picking from the 10 hole. So it kind of lines up with what I'm talking about from last year. But anyways, Cousins I picked in the 4th round on that team. Fields was a quarterback, and Watson. We all know what happened. Like the second half of the year, Cousins wasn't even playing, and Fields wasn't even playing, and Watson wasn't there. But that team had already built up so big a lead. I kid you not. I can show you guys it after this draft if you want. But it won its pod, and it had to have. I was sitting here trying to think back today, and I was like, man, there had to have at least been a couple weeks at the end of the year where I literally didn't even have a quarterback. Of course, it got kicked out in week 15 because I didn't even have a quarterback. Cousins wasn't playing then, Fields wasn't playing then, Watson never played at all, really, for the most part. And so it just kind of really got me to thinking today that, especially when I pick from this back end, I think we really do want to just lean, at least starting out. We'll see how some of the teams look, but lean a lot heavier than I normally than most people would, because I just feel like, yes, even though it's a super flex, it might not be as important as people think to make sure you have plenty of quarterbacks to fill always two spots. I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong, but that's just what I noticed. Look, and it was a small sample size. It was only 14 teams last year that I did. Again, up until now, I was primarily a DK guy, but just looking back at the handful that I did, I found that interesting. That said, I think when I pick in the first, 4 or 5 picks, if I have a chance to take Allen, Lamar, Daniels, or Hurts, I almost guarantee you I'm going to be still taking one of them, because I feel like then it would kind of be not as productive to do. Like, see here, I think we're going to go Barkley or Bijan. In the super flex, we only need two people. I mean, two wide receivers. So I feel like wide receiver probably isn't as important as some people will still think it is. People that stuck in the BBM mindset, like, see, this guy went Jefferson. Because the ADPs haven't corrected yet, we're going to take Barkley because there's always a slim chance that Bijan comes back around to us. Probably not. What's up, Sun God? I see you stopping in here. We'll put you up on there. You know your ball, man. I don't talk as much in Liam's thing as some of you guys, but I always am in there reading it. And I like a lot of your takes that you have in there, for sure. That's why I said it about the tight ends today. I've been on the same tight end thing as you. Like, I have very, very little Bowers, very, very little McBride. Give me all the Kittles and Hawkinson and the second round receivers, and I'll take my 2v2 on that. But anyways, back to what I was saying, like right here when it comes back to me, we could go like Puka, we could go Lamb. If Gibbs falls to me, I would love that. Start with my two running backs. These guys are taking Kyler and Goff and Baker. And I don't know. I just feel like we can get us some quarterbacks later, piece together some kind of points with quarterback. And again, I'm just going off of kind of what I saw with my teams last year. Now, I started to say I do think if you have a pick 1 through 5 or so, and you have a chance to get Josh or Lamar or Daniels or Hurts, it is probably a lot more. The smart play then is to probably take one of them and play it as a hero, call it a hero quarterback build versus, like a traditional hero running back build, where you get one of them, but then instead of worrying so much about your quarterback and hitting it up here, it is not a two quarterback game that we're playing. It's super flex. Yes, we can have a quarterback there, but I mean, let's face it, like, there are a lot of weeks that Jamar Gibbs is going to outscore Jared Goff. Yeah, Jared Goff is going to have some weeks that he outscores Gibbs, but I can also get me a quarterback a lot later, even if it's a gross name, that has just as good a chance at getting a lot closer to Goff than whatever running back in here has a chance of getting to Gibbs. That's kind of the way I look at it. I always try to look at things, in a 2v2 or 3v3, or if I get this guy now, You can get wide receivers at any time in San Francisco. Yes, you can. Get those quarterbacks though. See, that's I'm exactly on the opposite. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I'm just going off of my sample size from last year. It is small, and it's kind of my thinking. It worked last year. Like, if I would have had the only reason I didn't, or not the only reason, but the reason I had no chance at advancing out of round 15 was because my quarterbacks were so gross that I literally finished the year with no quarterbacks because Cousins had got benched, Fields was not playing, and Watson never played at all. And we'll see. I'm not saying I don't want any quarterbacks. I'll probably end up with 3 quarterbacks. One of them I will take before it gets super gross, at least. Probably another one that, might be gross, but I know he'll be playing. And if you've watched any of my previous stuff, not so much over here on Underdog, but especially at the beginning of the year, I was still kind of not San Fran. You can get wide receivers. Ah, yeah. Duh. I should have caught that. My bad. But at the beginning of the year, I was still playing more on DraftKings than I was over here. And a guy that I was smashing all the time in the 20th, 19th round in DraftKings on the 3 QB build was Milrow. So I think he will definitely be a target for me. You're not going to get him at the end of the drafts here simply because it's super flex. But he's going to be one of the, later QBs to go off the board. And I definitely don't want him as my number 2. But, if I have 2 QBs that I know will start somewhat early in the year, or will start most of the year at least, got pretty safe jobs for the most part. Hmm. And see here, like I got my 2 QBs. I mean, my 2 running backs. There's still this whole pocket down here that'll be around on the flip for me. So I don't want to reach. I'm not going to reach way down for a quarterback. And I'm generally not a Brock Bowers guy in a regular format. But I think I am going to take him here. I think the Superflex would be a good time to do it in the 3rd round because with this format and because we are going to have to make sure we have 3, potentially 4 quarterbacks. We'll see. Probably more like 3. We haven't got any receivers yet, even though we only need 2 receivers. We'll still probably want some volume on those guys since we're not getting quality on them. So I did feel like this might be a good spot to take Bowers, lock up a really strong tight end with 2 really strong running backs. Because we may even go receiver here and wait a little longer for quarterback. We'll see. I'm not afraid to push it. If you've watched any of my stuff, you definitely know I'm not afraid of some gross QBs. It's worked for me in before. I've gotten to, I know the underdog's a little different, but I've gotten to DK finals doing that. And like I said, I'm just going off of the Superflex, the small amount that I played last year. Teams that I built kind of this same way. It literally made it to the playoffs, winning its pod, and didn't even have a quarterback probably the last 2 weeks or so of the regular season. Once Fields got benched and once Cousins. Well, I guess it might have even been longer than that. I don't know. We'll see. Lad's still on the board. Well, there he goes there. We'll take let me see, how far down is he? He's probably already gone. We're going to take Garrett Wilson over Higgins, actually. I think that's what I want to do. I like Garrett Wilson this year. Some people are out on him. I am not out on him. But this. Just look at this board. This is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I feel like in a super flex, yes, you got Lamar, you got Fields. I would much rather do it. Lamar, grab you a running back here. If he would have went Lamar, maybe Derrick Henry or CMC. Well, I guess it was coming back this way. My bad. So maybe grab Achan there and then you still probably end up with Amon there. You got your anchor QB in Lamar. You got you a nice little running back going. You got you a stud receiver. I just feel like quarterbacks are, even being a super flex, quarterbacks are going to be they're going to be more expensive than what they even should be, in my opinion. What's up, Mark? Good to see you in here. Yeah, yeah, he'll definitely be one of those guys I'm trying to target. But I just feel like, look at the board. Even in a super flex, as high as some of these guys are going, just to make sure they get two, and then you're going to have your drafters in here who say, I want to get three QBs by round 6. I'll make it up at running back and receiver later. I don't know, man. Give me Barkley, Gibbs, Bowers, and Garrett Wilson as a start. And here pretty soon, I'm going to start tacking on a few quarterbacks. We only got to start 2 receivers, and I got one that I really like. Bryce will definitely be an option. Maybe even Penix if he comes back. Cam Ward. Anthony Richardson. He might not play all year, but he might play all year. He's going to start the year. Indianapolis has no reason whatsoever to start the year with Daniel Jones over him. One, people are getting fired if that happens. If Richardson is bad enough that already at the start of this year, before you even see what he can do this year, you're just basically parting ways with him and giving the team to Daniel Jones, there are definitely some people getting fired in that situation. So they have no reason not to at least start the year with Richardson. How long he goes probably depends on how bad it gets. And we'll look at it. We'll look at some of their teams, at the end of it compared to my team. And we'll see if maybe I waited too long or maybe I got too gross at quarterback, how it turned out. If Tet's there, we might grab Tet. And then on the way back, we can try to grab Bryce if he holds. Because eventually they're going to slow down. I mean, I'm at the 10 hole. The 11 hole has 1. The 12 hole has 2. So potentially both of them could wait. The 12 hole should definitely not draft another quarterback right now in round 5, in my opinion. The 11th hole could very well take Bryce. This guy has 2, so there's a decent chance he doesn't. But look, the running backs are gone. Some of the teams who don't have a running back, I guess if you're a 0 RB guy, there's still good running backs on there. Because everybody's taking quarterbacks, there's still good running backs on there. There goes Tet. So that idea, though, went out the window. I think we're going to go ahead and grab Bryce. Because we don't want to push it too far. I'm in on Leggett this year. Some people are still out on him. We'll talk about him in a minute. I want to see how the board flips on us here, see what we do next. But I am definitely in on Leggett this year. Be interesting tomorrow because one guy that I called him at the other day on stream, I'm not really in on him. I'm not out on him. I'm kind of at is Rice. And my guest tomorrow night, Who Hames, is majorly in on Rice. We'll have to see if he can force me to draft him. And I know from hearing his stream today that he is not in on Leggett. But I am. See, here now I think I'm going to hold on because these quarterbacks are going to start slowing down a lot. And there's still some really, really good receivers on the board. Not necessarily loving the running back ADP. But we could go get a guy like Xavier Worthy. I'm in on Worthy. around cost. We only need two receivers. So if I have receivers like Worthy, who, okay, yeah, he might not have monster weeks every week, but he's going to have some weeks where he has monster weeks. So we'll tack him in there. And I do expect quarterback to slow down a little bit. I mean, we have the 7 hole has 3, the 6 hole has 2, the 5 hole has 2, 4 hole has 2, 3 hole has 2. The guy from the 2 hole is doing the same thing that I am from the 2 hole. His team's looking all right. He'll have to start taking some quarterbacks, but he's got Chase, Nico, Achan, JSN, and Cook. It's a nice looking start. I think when I'm starting there, though, I will take. I mean, I think if you're starting 1, 2, 3, or 4, I do think the play then is to take you a Josh Allen, Lamar, Jaden, or Hurts. Because then you're not really gaining much because you are getting one of the elite QBs if you take them. Whereas if you pass on them, I mean, you're taking Jamar Chase, but it's not really any that much of a difference from where you normally would draft him in a normal style format. I think the advantage to the way I play the back half of the board in Superflex is I am getting that. You don't get Barkley and Gibbs together in a normal style team because they both go in the first half of the first round. You don't get Brock at the end of the third round. You don't get Garrett in the fourth round. And we got Bryce. Bryce is going to get points. You know, is there a world where on the season Bryce Young is not that much further? Let's say 30, 40 total points, away from Goff? Then if so, I like what I'm doing. Zig when others zag, for sure. That is what we are doing. We'll see what happens when it comes back to us here. Always forget to unplug that fan. Sorry about the noise. All right, let's see. So now do we want to reach for a quarterback? Because now it's starting to get even really grosser. But now it also is starting to slow down. But we have 2 receivers. We got our 2 running backs. Let's with this particular team, I don't think one of them will take him on the turn. It could backfire on us. But we still want to have correlation and stuff too. And we're going to try to get Leggett way, way, way down here in the draft. He goes way towards the end. We'll put him on there though. 167 is still his ADP. Okay, he's still way down there. But we did that Metcalf pick on purpose because we're going to say that old man Rodgers is going to come on out of retirement and that he's got his stud receiver that he's going to chunk the ball to in Metcalf. Because again, we're just trying to piece together quarterbacks. I'll take some of these guys, you know. I'm not afraid to the next turn if it's there, you know. If Shuck doesn't go on the next turn, we'll do Olave and Shuck. Because I think Shuck will take the job. If he doesn't take the job week one, I don't believe that they'll stick with Rattler for long. They kind of know what they have in Rattler. It's probably not great. It wasn't great last year when they gave him a chance. So probably more than likely, sooner rather than later, Shuck is going to play, I think. We'll see what comes back around to us. I can tell already though. I'm gonna like this contest, and I'm definitely gonna play it different than most people play it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what comes back around to us when it comes. Hopefully by tomorrow, when we have our guest, I'm trying to work on some kind of like intro video for you guys. You know, everybody does the little intro video things. I don't really want to do like the normal little fast cut up of, you know, a couple NFL highlights and stuff, just because most people what I've noticed, they either do like, you know, cut ups of their self throughout the summer or years, little funny parts they had on stream or something, or they do the NFL cut ups. The thing that I'm working on, if I can get it finished and get it to come out the way I want, is something a little different. I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be fun. We'll see. We'll see if I can get it finished and if it turns out. But see, this is what I was talking about. You know, Richardson went here, but Cam Ward before that. The quarterbacks are really starting to slow down now because everybody feels like they're caught up. I'm gonna call it a zero quarterback build. You know, while everybody else is got the normal, what normally is your wide receiver thirst, where they feel like they got to grab all the receivers quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's what people are going to do in Superflex. I feel like, especially picking from the middle on back of the board, it might be better to not do that. So we're going to call it a zero quarterback build, which, just like with running backs, it is not zero, but we're just going to take a lot of dart throws as the draft goes on before quarterbacks completely dry, and we're just piecing them together, you know. Okay, so some weeks I only get one quarterback score that's really worth even using. That could very well be a week where Garrett Wilson, Xavier Worthy, and DK Metcalf all hit my lineup. We only start two receivers in this format. So therefore, we have a little wiggle room. I don't love any of those receivers, and I don't want to necessarily totally. Well, Shuck just went. We were going to take Shuck there, but he just went. So with this team, we're going to grab Golden because we like Golden too. We're a little in on him. I wouldn't mind grabbing Hawkinson, but I already have a tight end. So we'll see what happens with the turn. This guy has 3 already. He has 2, so he may take a dart or somebody. Hopefully we don't get totally shut out. We would like to definitely have one more quarterback who at least gives us some sort of playing time potential without an injury. And I know exactly who that guy is. I was just hoping that he would stick around. And he did. We're going to skip over the gross Wilson. We don't know when Dart will play. We also do not know when Jalen Milroe will play. But this is exactly the kind of team in a super flex that I want to put a Jalen Milroe on. If Aaron Rodgers plays football and goes to Pittsburgh, I think this is going to be a okay team, maybe borderline damn good team. I mean, Bryce, we know is going to be playing. I'm going to try to throw Leggett on later with him. We have Aaron Rodgers with probably the guy that he'll be peppering with targets all the time, DK Metcalf. We got Wilson and Worthy. We threw Golden on there for some rookie late season coming on strong magic. We got our two anchor running backs in Barkley and Gibbs. We got Bowers at tight end, locking that spot down, so we don't really need to worry about a tight end for a few rounds at least. Probably stick with two and just get a backup I feel comfortable with. And then if Rodgers plays, which kind of especially for this team, hope he does. If I can just get Bryce and Rodgers, sometimes both of them hit my lineup. Okay. 1 week, one of them should have a decent enough score to use as a quarterback score. I'm going to have receivers that I can use at the flex. There's still some pretty good running backs out there that we might be able to get a flex spot out of. And if we could just be in the running still later in the season, I think it'll be sooner rather than later. Maybe like week 9 coming off of Seattle's bye. I don't think Seattle is going to be very good this year. I could definitely see a world where coming off of their bye week at week 9, Milroe kind of takes over for the team. Maybe they're like 3-4, something like that. 2-5, whatever. One second, guys. Sorry about that. I had to turn my fan on. It was getting a little hot in here. Drafting this killer super flex team in between the complete thinness of my quarterbacks, but the awesome upside of everything else. We were getting a little hot. I had to turn the fan on. We're going to keep building it out, though. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I'll take another quarterback because honestly, I don't really know if there's anything worth really taking. Cousins would be about the only guy that I could see putting on this team because I think Atlanta doesn't necessarily want to keep him. He wants traded. I think at some point maybe they give in to trade him. We like Trey Harris a lot here. Well, Trey Harris just went. Another guy we like who we know will be on the field some and kind of works with our little Pittsburgh team stack. We always love the team stack. So we're going to take Warren. We wanted to get another running back that's not just a total backup before it gets to the point that we're drafting total backups. We have 4 receivers we like. We have Bowers. We have our 2 stud running backs. It's about to be on me again, so I'll stay here for one more second, then we'll flip over. And I think the play here, I don't know, can I get him to come back? Does everybody have 3 in front of me? This guy only has 2 quarterbacks. Is there anything that we love? We do like Shaheed. We don't love Shaheed. I'm going to see. I want to draft Cousins, but I'm going to probably see if I can't get Cousins to come back. Because I like Shaheed, and I like Shaheed's spike week potential. Because it also opens up another possible play with Rattler. I talked about I do think Shook will take over at some point, if not start right away, but there is a chance they could give it to Rattler to start the year. So that would give us another stack if they did. And we wouldn't mind having one more QB. The reason I have Cousins queued up here to possibly take also is because I think if pretty soon, if Rodgers doesn't sign with Pittsburgh, it's going to get to a point closer to camp, real camp, where Pittsburgh's like, hey, we need you to make a decision. And Rodgers is either going to play football or not. I believe if Rodgers does not come to Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh will then really try to make a push for Cousins. Cousins clearly wants to be traded somewhere that he can start without much pressure from somebody taking his job, at least this year. Pittsburgh would be a nice landing spot for that to happen. It would kind of be insurance because if Rodgers didn't sign with Pittsburgh, then I really do feel like that's where Cousins would end up. So, from that aspect of having Rodgers on the team, it would kind of work out. And again, just like we do with a zero RB build, I'm trying to piece it together with the zero quarterback build. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think it's a bad strategy? Is it something you're thinking about doing or maybe already done earlier today? I kind of like the way the team's going. I feel like we're super strong with our first two running backs. We got nice little depth at receiver, especially considering we only got to start two. Probably can get a flex play out of one of them most weeks. Rashid could give you some flex. Golden could give you some flex on the right week. Definitely out of Wilson, Worthy, and Metcalf, I'm getting most weeks two usable scores for the spots we have to start. Some weeks, the third one of those two would be a good flex as well. So we got options. We're going to have our late season hammer at quarterback, just like we have late season hammers with the running back position. Let's see. The 12 hole has one, two, three, one, two. The 11 hole has only two, but Rattler and Cousins are on the board. So is Shador. So I'm going to go Ray Davis here. And then grab one of the quarterbacks on the backside and probably just be done with those four quarterbacks. Ideally, I would like Cousins, and I just talked about why. That gives me four running backs. Davis, yes, is the backup, but he plays some even with Cook. They don't give Cook all the touches. He's not a true workhorse. There's always the upside if an injury was to happen. He's attached to a really good offense. They play Philadelphia in week 17. It's not ideal to have running back matchup, but it is kind of correlated, at least in that aspect. Running back room's looking good. We're liking our receiver room. We got Bowers at tight end. Assuming one of these two guys here doesn't grab him, we're going to throw Cousins on there for the simple fact that I believe for this team to be successful, I need Pittsburgh's quarterback. And I feel like if Rodgers, we just talked about it, if Rodgers for some reason doesn't play football, yes, I'm going to eat the zero, but at least then I believe Cousins would then get traded to Pittsburgh. At least that's how I'm playing it on this team. And so I feel like I invested in the super flex. Let's see, where did we draft them? In the 14th round for Cousins, in the 8th round for Rodgers. I hope that it's Rodgers, and then Cousins could go somewhere else, and then we would have even another quarterback to play with. That would be the most ideal situation, of course. I don't know if there's a whole lot of landing spots out there for him. I heard something today about Minnesota. That's kind of scary for McCarthy if they're already talking about maybe looking into bringing Cousins back. What happened? Well, we had a little boo boo there with one of my other screens. We're liking the team, though. We are definitely liking the team. We'll see how it ends up the rest of the way. It's a fun contest, though. ADPs are going to shift around. The quarterbacks are going to start moving up the board a lot more. The ADPs are going to move up more. Let's start looking at what we want to do here. So we are going to definitely just be done at quarterback. We're going to take Rattler off there. We're just trying to piece it together. If he makes it back to us, we'll probably go Fryermuth here and just be done at tight end. Week 5 bye, so it doesn't overlap with Bowers. Give me a tight end room with Bowers and Fryermuth. I am definitely okay with that. We got the Pittsburgh stack already with hopefully Rodgers, maybe long shot Cousins. We got Warren and we got Metcalf for a nice little team stack on that end. And we kind of just, we kind of just have luxury now. I was one to get Leggett, but he went. So we may have to go with Bryce unstacked, which isn't ideal, but we can make it work. I don't really want to take old man Thielen because I do like Tet this year. I think he'll be good, and I am more in on Leggett than I guess some people are. Don't really want to do Shipley on a Barkley team. Normally I like Shipley. We could go down to like Marshawn Lloyd. I like him. I think his role is pretty safe as their backup. We could even go Dowdle. I don't draft Dowdle a lot, but if Chuba was to get hurt, he's probably the man. His ADP is way higher, so there's definitely a way better chance Lloyd would come back. It at least fits with Bryce, and we at least get a little bit of team correlation. We'll do it. I don't take Dowdle a lot. It's a good spot to take him. I'm going to throw Keenan Allen possibly on this team if he hangs around because that is a possibility. He could go to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and the Jets are two teams that I think make sense for him because both teams could definitely still use a number 2 receiver. And while I don't think neither team will be championship level. I actually like the start a lot, but Bryce scares me as a QB1. I might take my QB around earlier, but it just depends on the drafts. Solid strike. In an ideal world, I would too. Let's go back and look though. Let's see, 5. So we were coming this way with it. I really thought Garrett Wilson was the play I wanted to go with. There was this nice pocket of Herbert, Love, Lawrence, CJ, McCarthy even. And I thought, these guys had already started QB, of course. This is only the first day of the contest. We don't know exactly how people are going to play it. So I just felt getting a receiver right here in the 4th round that I liked a whole lot was better, and hoping that one of these guys would slide around. But when the big run happened there, yeah, we didn't want to be left with even worse like Darnold. I'm in on Young this year. I think their offense is going to be a lot different. And from a fantasy aspect, I don't think their defense is going to be very good, which is kind of what we want. We want teams that have a potential to have a really good offense or a pretty damn good offense, but if their defense isn't holding up, we could get to some really, shootout type games. They're kind of in a division where a lot of the teams are that way. I mean, New Orleans defense isn't going to be good. Tampa's defense probably isn't going to be that good. Atlanta probably has the best defense, and it's not a world beater. They all play each other twice, so we could potentially get some really big shootout games. We're into the 17th. It is a super flex, so like DraftKings, they give us a couple extra rounds. We have 20 rounds to play with. And we're going to go with Keenan. I said that we were going to leave it at 4 QBs, but I think I might have changed my mind. No, we're going to stick with it because we're going to really hope we draft like we're right. And so with this particular team, we're going to hope that Aaron Rodgers comes and plays football for Pittsburgh because that's kind of what this team is dependent on, is him doing just that. We have 5 running backs that we like. We're going to go ahead and get a little team correlation. We missed out on Leggett, but we're going to throw Coker on there. He had a nice year last year. Adds a little bit more to our receiver room. Gives us a little more Carolina correlation. We just talked about how we're in on their offense. We'll see. And I think I kind of have some free picks in the 19th and 20th rounds. There's not really a whole lot that I need. I just said that you were, I guess maybe you were in and out, but yeah, I take Keenan a lot on Fields teams. I generally don't draft Aaron Rodgers in the regular format or any Pittsburgh quarterback in the regular format. But I do think that Pittsburgh and the Jets, to me, are the most logical places for him to go. Neither team are going to be championship contenders, but both teams are decent enough that, he could talk himself into, well, maybe they'll be a little bit better, especially if I'm there. Neither team are like going to be horrible, I don't think. If Rodgers goes there, both teams at least don't have a totally trash quarterback. Maybe Rodgers is trash at this point, but his name alone might convince Keenan to give it a go there. And that's exactly why I took him on this team, because we draft like we're right. You have to draft like you're right if you want to give yourself a chance. With this team, we decided that we wanted to build all the other positions with extreme depth and try to beat everybody that way and just piece together our zero quarterback build. And if Rodgers plays this year, I think the team's going to be okay. If you think otherwise, let me know. Let's look at it though real quick. In my world, where I'm right, Bryce and Carolina are a pretty dang good offense this year with a horrible defense, so they're always having to play from behind. They're always having to score points. They're always having to try to do something on offense because their defense is giving up points. So we got Carolina and him. We got the backup from that team in Dowdle, and we throw Coker on there at the end. We got Bowers and Freiermuth as our two tight ends. We got our elite running backs in Barkley and Gibbs. Threw on Warren and Davis. Receiver room for a flex where we only start two is dang good. We got Wilson, Worthy, Metcalf, Golden, Rashid, Keenan Allen, and the before mentioned Coker. And at quarterback, if we're right and Rodgers plays with Pittsburgh, we got him stacked with Metcalf. We got Young on there. Kirk was just okay because I'm waiting. Milroe's my late season hammer, just like we drafted backup running backs, hoping that we get lucky. That's a bet I'm willing to make this season in a lot of formats, even on regular underdog formats. I will throw Milroe on certain teams, certain 3 QB teams in the 18th round, because I just am that much of a non-believer in Sam Darnold. He's going from playing in a dome to playing outdoors in Seattle. He's going from Jefferson as his number 1 receiver to JSN. I do not think if he makes it to their bye week at week 8, I believe the team will probably feel a lot of pressure to just, if nothing else, come out of the bye week and see what they got in Milroe. If for some reason I am wrong about that and he makes it past, let's say, if he makes it past their bye week, he's not making it all year. That's the bet that I'm making. And if so, if this team is anywhere near the top 2, whenever that happens, we have another potential quarterback that is going to do something, if nothing else, with his legs. And if he does a little bit with his arm, could be a nice little late season hammer. Just like we like from the running backs, I'm going to get it from my zero quarterbacks. We're going to take Wicks here because we have Golden as a receiver. We'll take 8 receivers on this particular build because I think we might stay with 2 tight ends. Although there is for the 20th round, if I might go ahead and put 3 tight ends on there just because I feel comfortable with my 5 running backs, being that we started Barkley and Gibbs We have another guy, Warren, who's going to be on the field a decent amount. Davis is attached to a good offense and going to be on the field. Dowdle gives us some correlation with Bryce. Same thing with Sanders. We've been talking this whole draft about how we're in on Carolina, how we believe there'll be a better offense. I don't want to do a ninth receiver because we only need to start two. I don't really want to do a sixth running back because I just feel like this team, Jatavian Sanders, as another correlation with Young, helps me better than any of the running backs that are left on the board. And again, call me crazy, but I like this team. I like this team. If Rodgers plays, if either Rodgers starts the year with Pittsburgh, or if Rodgers does not start the year with Pittsburgh, and then our backup plan, because we got him later, I mean, for a super flex, nobody still wants Cousins. We took Cousins in the 14th round simply as an insurance plan because I do feel like if Rodgers does not go to Pittsburgh, Kirk Cousins will be a very heavy trade target for Pittsburgh. So I feel like between one of those two, between Rodgers and Cousins, I have a very, very good chance of getting the Pittsburgh quarterback, who is then paired up with Metcalf and Freiermuth. Also have Warren on there for some more team correlation. Neither one of those quarterbacks run, so Warren could definitely be catching some passes from them. And if so, we have two quarterbacks, the Pittsburgh quarterback and the Carolina quarterback. Yeah, week 5, one of them will be on the bye week if that's the case. Milroe may not be playing until week 5, so in week 5 we'll have to go with just one quarterback. Bryce has a really late bye week, week 14, so we don't have to worry about him missing until then. By then, Milroe definitely will be playing. You know, Barkley and Gibbs can hit our lineup in week 5, so then could we get a decent flex out of Davis? Maybe. Worst case, we could get Wilson and Worthy at the receiver spots. We could get Rashid Shaheed or Keenan Allen or Coker to hit our flex. We could even get Jatavian Sanders if week 5 Young goes off. Maybe Sanders goes 4 for 60 and a touchdown. That'd be an okay flex on a week 5 where we have some bye weeks to worry about. I don't know. I like the team though. Guys, tell me how it turned out. We're gonna do another one. It was fun. We think we like the super flex. We're going to do another 30-second clock. I like kind of having the time to think through things a little bit myself. Waiting on 8. I'm going to post another little message about it so we can try to get it filled for you guys quickly. If any of you guys watching the stream want to hop in with me, come on in. The water is warm, as they say. We'll see what pick we have this time. Like I said, from the front part of the board, I think I am going to be a lot more likely to go ahead and grab the quarterbacks. The elite guys, you can see it's already pushing their ADP up. Josh's ADP's already moved up to 4 or 5. Yeah, it was definitely heavily correlated. There was all kind of Carolina, all kind of Pittsburgh. which is what we want. We want correlated stuff. Let's look at their playoff schedules. Carolina plays New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and you ready for it? My late season hammer, Seattle, in week 17. You know, both teams probably not having a whole lot to play for at that point. It's in Carolina. Bryce is doing it with his arm. Milroe's doing it with his legs. Milroe probably hits our lineup over Bryce, but maybe Jatavian Sanders catches a couple touchdowns. We'll see. And that's just the way I think it's better to play it myself. I feel like people feel like you people feel like you have to have three really good quarterbacks in the super flags. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Best Ball on Call. I found your channel earlier today. I'm gonna try to check you out more. Thanks for stopping by though. I'll show you those of y'all that's popping in. I know there was another streamer on. Maybe he's ending now and y'all are hopping in. We can go look at the other team. I just drafted what I'm gonna start calling the zero quarterback teams. You know, what we've been talking about is when we pick from the back half of the board in these super flex, we feel like while everybody else is way overpaying for quarterbacks just because we have ingrained in our head, I think it comes from until recently, like maybe last year, you never really used to see like best ball superflex from what I remember. Superflex has been around for a while though in season long managed leagues. I believe in season long managed leagues, I'm in actually an offensive player only dynasty league that's super flex. We don't have any defenses or kickers, things like that. And in that league, yes, it is definitely the smart thing to do to make sure you have three quarterbacks, to make sure you have two that you feel really good about, because it's a season long league and you're probably not. We do start three wide receivers there though, also two running backs. Anyways, regardless, the point of it is in a season long, like you have to make that start sit decision, whereas in best ball we don't. So while everybody else I feel like in these contests are going to way overpay for that next tier of QB, I definitely agree with if you have an early pick taking Jaden Hurts, Lamar, Josh, I definitely feel like taking one of those four in the top half of the first round. I'll do that. I'll call those an anchor QB team, and I probably will get gross with the rest of them and just piece it together because that's what we do with zero RB and that's what we do with hero RB. And that is what I think, at least right now, day one into this contest, that is how I think is the best way to play it. At the end of this draft, I was going to do it at the end of the other one, but I wanted to hop in another one because they're fun. But at the end of this draft, we'll really, if this team doesn't turn out similar to what I'm thinking with like hero or zero quarterback, maybe we'll go back to the other one we just drafted. And we'll look at some of those other teams and see what we think. Waiting on 5 more. You guys come on and hop in. Let's get this draft going. I guess I can tell my crazy story that made me almost late for my stream today. Club sports with youth is just getting out of hand. So I have a daughter. She's in 5th grade going to 6th grade. She's tall for her age. She's really athletic, and she's really an amazing soccer player. Apparently not just coming from her dad. So we went into this season thinking that one of the coaches in a higher level wanted her to come play for their team. They brought her to some kind of like little scrimmage thing the other day to see how she fit. He called me on the phone today, wanted her to play for him. we were kind of going back and forth on it because this same daughter that I'm talking about a little earlier in the year, she was kind of struggling with, a little bit of mental health type stuff, and it kind of ran over into soccer a little bit, and she wasn't quite her normal self for a while, but she's better now. She's over it. It was just, a little blimp or whatever. Um, she finished the season really strong and everything. Skill wise, there is not a doubt in my mind that my daughter can play on of the three levels that's at the place that we play. My daughter could definitely play on the top level and fit right in. But anyways, because of the other stuff, we thought it was best that maybe she start on that same bottom level that she played on last year. Last year was her first year in select, that you're automatically on the bottom one your first year in club. Then they go from there. So we thought that it'd be better because she already knew the coach, you know, and then see how the season's going and then potentially move up. Well, tonight was the like get to know your new team. They have like a little practice here at the end of the season with their new team. Then you take a break for summer. Soccer starts up next year in August or whatever. Well, of course, all the like national level coaches and stuff are out there helping out with it and stuff like that. And the guy who coaches the girls' national team, which is a few years older than my daughter, I guess saw her. And of course, he's always going to be scouting for his team a couple years down the road. And he went and asked her, I guess, who her parents was. She pointed to me. He came and pulled me to the side and was like, "Hey, look, your daughter has no business playing on that team. Like, basically, what they want her to do is actually play on both of the other two teams. Like, the middle team, they want her to actually be rostered on the middle team so she can practice and play with that team. But they also want her to then play up and practice and play with the prime team to get her essentially extra practices and extra game practices next year. Probably because I'm guessing that same coach that is recommending that in 2 years probably thinks that he's going to want potentially her on his national team or whatever for the club. We'll see. I don't know. I didn't get much chance to talk to the wife tonight to see exactly what we want to do. I'm the type that I feel like the kids should have a lot of say so I talked to Ella is my daughter's name. I talked to her on the way home and she is definitely gun ho 100% on board, wants to go play on it or whatever, do the double team thing. So that's probably what we'll end up doing, but we'll see. We have the 11th spot again. So we probably will build a team that looks pretty similar, would be my guess. Because again, unless a quarterback I really like falls all the way there, which I don't see that being the case, I am not going to overpay for quarterbacks. I'm going to build my zero quarterback strategy out and we'll see how it works. Although the one hole went with Jamar Chase. He says, I am still getting my elite receiver and I am still going to build my Chase shares. Barkley at the 3 hole. So we're not getting Barkley at the back end of the draft like we did last time. Maybe we'll do a Bijan with this build. There goes Jaden. There's only one more quarterback that I would draft in the first round. I don't see myself drafting anybody if Allen, Jackson, Daniels, and Hurts are off the board. Burrow is really good, but I don't feel like I don't want a quarterback in the first round unless they are really good and offer a good amount of rushing upside. So we'll see. Hopefully somebody pulls him up because they get quarterback thirsty and we can get either Gibbs or Bijan. That's what I really liked about that last team. We were picking one spot earlier in the 10, and we actually got Gibbs back to us in the second round, and we're able to start with Barkley in the first round way back at the 10 spot. That was really sweet if you ask me. I wouldn't mind that happening with Bijan and Gibbs. But there goes Bijan. Looks like some other guys are starting to come around to not reaching for the quarterbacks here. Somebody will, though, watch. Burrow's going to go in the first round. He will at least go at the 1-2 turn. I kind of would like Gibbs here. So hopefully this guy reaches for Burrow or takes Puka. There it goes. He took Burrow, so we will grab Gibbs. We're not reaching for them quarterbacks. We're going 0 quarterbacks. I could be wrong, but that's what I feel will be the best strategy in this format. We aren't afraid of bye weeks, so we're going to take Genty, even though Gibbs and Genty both have week 8 byes. Because again, with us only needing 2 quarterbacks, with us only needing 2 wide receivers, we're going to be leaning heavier into running backs in these builds. When I pick in the back half of the board, I think that's when I want to implement my 0 quarterback strategy. When I pick in the front half of the board, I'll probably be tempted to go more with an anchor, grab one of the 4 elites that give you some rushing upside, and then just piece it together later after that. I really like the way the first team turned out if you were around for that one. But we'll see. Flip it back over to the board. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. I needed to text the wife back something real quick, and she will probably be in bed before I am done with the stream. So we just wanted to respond to her real quick. It was just about some more of the soccer drama that we talked about earlier. If you missed it while we were waiting on the draft to fill up, I went on a little youth club soccer rant. Because it gets crazy these days. We'll see what we want to do when it gets back to us. Might not want to go quite as gross this time if we can make it work, because we don't want all our teams to be as gross as the last one with our 0 QB builds. They don't have to all be that ugly, but this is what I just can't do. I can't take an unstacked Brock Purdy in the 3rd round. If I had Josh Allen, I'm not taking Fields there. I'm taking a running back there, then a receiver here. Because remember, it's super flex, not 2 QB league. Like we could, if we have really good running backs and receivers, you can have a running back or a receiver play your flex spot. That is allowed. But what tends to happen is, you know, the quarterbacks go so quickly that it's like that snowball effect, and people start getting really, really worried about not having three quarterbacks who are all really good, so two of them can hit my lineup every week. And in my personal opinion, they draft bad. And we're going to get A.J. Brown at the end of the third round. Okay. Yes, please. I'm not going to take Goff here. I was tempted, but we're going to go Tyreek. We went Wilson in the last one. And again, am I going to have the quarterback firepower that these other teams are going to have? Nope. We're going to piece it together late. But we're going to have Gibbs, Genty, A.J. Brown, and Tyreek. Okay. I can play with that. I can make it work, I think. We'll see. This time, maybe we'll get a little luckier. I was at this point last time. I picked in the back half, and I saw this same thing going into round 4. We had this nice little pocket. Herbert, let's say to Lawrence, because I'm not 100% sure on McCarthy. I take him in regular formats when I have JJ. If I don't have JJ, I don't want really any part of him. But if I get one of these guys, Herbert, May, Love, CJ, if I get one of those guys to come back to around to me, which this team has 2, this team has 2, that team has 2, this guy doesn't have none, but he already took a receiver there, so there's a decent chance one of them comes back. He has JJ, so maybe he wants McCarthy. We'll see. I think there's a decent chance I might get one to come back. This guy has 2 QBs. This guy doesn't have none. So we might not get him to come back to us. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I mean, even a little lower, even if it's Lawrence, we have Hill, so we could go with Tua. Maybe we double tap Tua and Bryce. Let's watch the board and see who they take. So far, none of them have went. That guy has 2 QBs, Caleb and Bo, so hopefully he doesn't take one here. He should probably double tap some running backs or a receiver running back. If he goes through the 5th round with no running back, I don't think that's ideal myself. I mean, yeah, you got Chase, you got 2 quarterbacks, 3 receivers. Why are we taking JSN over no running back at all in the 5th round when it's a super flex and we only have to start 2 quarterbacks instead of 3? Maybe some people don't look at the format. Maybe they just still think that's smart. It could work. I mean, start hitting running back heavy. I like it because he didn't go with a quarterback. And we really would like one of those guys from that pocket we mentioned above to make it to us. So every time that one of them doesn't take one, like the Purdy drafter, I was worried about him taking one there, but he went with Adams. So that's nice. This guy has 2. Maybe he passes on taking a 3 since he doesn't have any running backs either. The 12 hole has 2 quarterbacks. He started Baker and Mahomes. So if there's not 2 quarterbacks that I really like, I may even be tempted to take a position player here, maybe another running back, let it flip around, and then grab a quarterback. Let's see. So far, we got 4 of the guys that we said we were hoping one slid. 5 spots until it's to us. So we still need a couple guys to pass. Of course, they're not going to pass on Drake May. Everybody loves Drake May. This guy probably goes quarterback because he has none. My one hope is this guy who took Burrow in the first. He took Goff in the fourth. He has 2 receivers and no running backs. So it would be nice to think that he would. And this guy, the JJ drafter, like I had talked about when we were waiting on it to get to him, since he had JJ, I thought there was a decent chance that he might go McCarthy there. There goes CJ with Nico. That makes a lot of sense. But we had one guy take one now. So, Love or Trevor Lawrence. Well, there goes Lawrence. And see, this is where it gets difficult, though, because the 12 hole has absolutely no receivers, so there is no way that Tet makes it. He has 2 quarterbacks, so there is a potential that he doesn't take his third quarterback here. So I am not going to pass up on the guy that I think is the way better pick in Tet, and I'm going to leave it on him because I feel like if you have no wide receivers, only one running back and one tight end, and you already have 2 quarterbacks, he should not draft a quarterback there. He should go like running back and probably even receiver, but he went running back again, which is fine because then we get out of the deal Tet and Jordan Love as our QB1, which we can rock with. I don't think it would happen, but we would love now for Bryce to come back to us as a QB2 instead of our first QB1 this time. And this time we would actually have him paired with Tet. We have Tet, so there's a chance that that could happen. We'll flip it over to the board and see what these people take. We don't have an elite tight end on this team, so definitely we'll probably try to piece this particular build. I'm kind of already thinking 3 tight ends. So Kraft would work well with Love. Golden could be an option. Jaden Reed could be an option. Really late in the draft, Wicks could be an option. We'll see how they play it. It's getting to that point, though, where quarterbacks will start to slow down a little bit. I mean, again, why are we... Did he have Waddle? No, he doesn't have Waddle. I mean, I guess, but like Tua as your 2 unstacked in the 6th round, I would have probably tried to pass him around again before I took him unstacked, but that's just me. I know I am willing to get grosser at quarterback than most people. I've had success with it over the years, though, so we'll continue to do it. Because we're liking the team so far. I mean, Gibbs and Genty as our 2 running backs. Can't argue with that. A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Tet at receiver. No reason why we can't get the flex from one of those guys most weeks, which makes it not nearly as important to have a quarterback that you feel so great about hitting your flex every week. I mean, in regular best ball formats, we have been out on Mahomes. We've pushed him down the board because he's fantasy-wise hasn't been producing quite the way he used to a few years ago. Is there really not a world where Tet most weeks scores close to the same amount of points as Mahomes? Probably Mahomes over the season scores more than him. But I also took Tet in the 5th round and not at the 1-2 turn. I don't know. I'm just trying to be different. Building these teams the way I think is the best way to build them. A lot of these guys have quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford just went, and we have Tet. Bryce is the highest guy on the board. So we'll see. It's going to be pushing it to see if he makes it back to us. Another option for a QB2 if he goes, but Ward stays. We could go with Ward. But again, just trying to play my board. Since I'm in the 11 hole, the 12 hole has 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 1 tight end, and no receivers. So at some point, he definitely has to draft receivers or he won't have a viable team at all. So if CJ goes, I mean, not CJ, sorry, if Bryce Young goes in one of these next few picks, then we will target Ward, but we actually will take, if Ridley's still on the board, which right now he is, if Ridley's still there, we'll take Ridley first. And then we'll try to get Ward, unless the 12 hole wants to take him unstacked. My guess would be the 12 hole will be looking to double tap receiver here, since he has 3 running backs and 2 quarterbacks already, but no wide receivers. There goes Cam Ward, so we're not going to be able to do that. So just in case, I'm still going to take Ridley because I like Ridley. And again, with our strategy of 0 quarterback, we definitely want to make sure we still have firepower for that flex spot. So now that gives me 4 wide receivers to get 3 scores. 2 wide receivers in a flex. Only 2 wide receivers start. None of their bye weeks overlap. So ideally, we should have a chance at getting them. And we got Bryce to flip around to us like we thought we could. So now we'll get Bryce as a QB2. We have him paired up with Tet. We have our 2 anchor running backs up top. We're feeling good about that. I'm liking it. What do you guys think? Tell me what you think whenever you see the team. Let's flip over to the board for a little bit. See what these other people are doing. Jackson Dart in the 8th round. I think the majority, this is what it boils down to. I think the majority of the drafters right now are playing it wrong, and they're playing this as though you absolutely have to start 2 quarterbacks every week. And so we're doing things like this, where we took Trevor Lawrence and then we took Penix, and then we had 2 running backs, 3 receivers. Well, I guess Dart there for his team isn't bad. That's not a horrible idea. I actually like how a lot of this room is drafting. You know, the guy like here, he went Allen and then he went Fields, but then he quit at QB so far. But you will see teams take like 2 quarterbacks here, Baker and Mahomes, and then take another one right here because they feel like, well, I gotta have 3 because I need 3 that I can depend on because I have to start 2 of them. You don't have to start 2 of them. It's nice, but I think I'm liking my teams better when I load up on all these guys. You know, give me a squad with Gibbs and Genty, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Tet, and Ridley, and I still ended up with Love and Young as my quarterbacks. I can work with that. We can definitely work with that. We'll probably try to throw our late season hammer, Jalen Milroe. We'll probably try to throw him on this team as a third option at quarterback because he is getting to the time now. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not spending an eighth or ninth round pick on one of these guys that are on the board. Who even when they play, what do we win when we win when we already have Bryce Young and Jordan Love? If those two are healthy all year, we only have to worry, and we never worry about injuries with our team. We draft, so we're right. And if those two, you know, for sure, most weeks I should get one good quarterback score from them. A lot of weeks, two good quarterback scores from them. We have two good stud running backs, and we have four receivers that we feel pretty damn good about getting three good scores from that group. So the weeks that one of our quarterbacks does not hit our flex, it is okay with us. It is okay with us. We got Golden and we got Reed as possibilities here. Before too long, we do need to get back in the running back room, but we can hold off one more turn for that. Let's see. This guy has 2, 2. That guy has 3, 2, 3. It's to us. We'll go back and finish that in a minute. We're going to take Golden again. And now I'm kind of at a dilemma because I do like my late season hammer Milroe, but he's far enough down the board. And enough of these guys have quarterbacks. Let's see in between us. 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Well, that's kind of an easier decision because they actually took the guy that we were going to take. We were going to go ahead and double tap Reed. But because the quarterbacks do fly off the board here, we'll go ahead and take Milroe in the 10th because we're not even worried about early in the season. We got Love and we got Young to cover it. But again, I'm trying to build this team to win 100K. And to do that, we're going to need to be different and we're going to need to be explosive late in the season. So if I can be good enough with Young and with Love to get me there or to help get me there or to keep me in the hunt till later in the season, I'm just a big Jalen Milroe guy. I feel like they're not going to have much to play for. They're going to want to put the rookie that they talked really highly about when they draft him in there and see what he can do. He's going to be running around using his legs and throwing the ball. Give me him as a third option late in the year to mix in when we got our Gibbs, Genty, A.J. Brown, Tyreek, Tet, Waddle, Golden paired up with Love. Probably done at quarterback. I'll just stick with those three. It's okay with me. Because now we're going to get back in this running back room when it gets around to us. We need to start piecing together some tight ends. We'll see. Let's see what gets to us. Again, another team that so far really liking. We're into the 11th round. It's coming around to us. We shall see what we do. You guys, when you see this, tell me what you like about this team. We're rocking with Love Young in our late season zero quarterback Hammer Milrow. Running back room so far we only got two, but they're dudes, Gibbs and Genty. We got AJ Brown, Tyreek, Tet paired with Young, Ridley and Golden paired with Love. We have not ventured into the tight end room yet. Well, we're about to start hitting that up pretty soon, I think. I don't really know what I want to do here. Yeah, I do. We'll see what gets to us. I don't love any of the running backs on the board right now. So I'll probably try to see if we can get away with holding off a little bit longer for them. But we're liking it so far, you know. Our zero quarterback builds from the end of the round in the super flex. That is what we're rocking with. We built a team before this that was even grosser at QB that we still liked a whole lot. And we like the way this one's coming together, to be honest. Mark Andrews just went. He was a guy I was potentially going to target here. And now I'm kind of at a little bit of a hard spot because I already have 5 receivers. The only running back I kind of liked, as much as I like some of these receivers, just went in Charbonnet. So I think I'm going to do this. Let me see if I can get away with it. I'm going to take Jaden Higgins because I'm in on him. We love rookies late. Texans have a super nice playoff schedule. 3 dome games. Where'd they go on my little chart up there? At Houston against Arizona. At home against the Raiders, which we have Genty. And at home against the Chargers, which my next pick, he didn't go. So we're going with another rookie receiver. We like Harris. We're going to stop at those 7 receivers. We will be done at receiver with this team because we only need to start 2. We got flex options with this team, though, galore with A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Ted, Ridley, Golden, Higgins, Trey Harris. When it gets back to us on the next turn, we'll probably be looking to take some running backs or tight ends. I don't believe there's any quarterbacks left on this board that I'm willing to take. I'm willing to rock it with 3. I feel like I have enough wide receiver firepower plus my stud running backs. Bryce has a late bye week. So other than week 5 when Love's out of there, I'm going to have both of these quarterbacks most of the year who could potentially give me either one good quarterback score or one good quarterback score and a decent flex score. The weeks where one of the quarterbacks does not do much, we got plenty of receivers. 2 of those guys can hit our lineup as receiver, and whoever the third highest score is will probably be plenty good enough to count as a flex for that week. We have a really good chance at beating people at running back most weeks. Probably, since we're waiting so late for tight end, we may even wait really late for tight end and do like a 4 tight end build. Because with us only needing 2 receivers plus a potential flex, we don't really want to go past 7 receivers with this particular team. We took them enough already that we feel really good about them. We have 5, well, let's say 4 we feel super good about in Brown, Hill, Tet, Ridley. And then we got 3 rookies. Even if they start kind of late, we got the other 4 that we think will start off pretty good right away. Golden, Higgins, and Terry and Trey Harris get it going at some point for us. So when it gets back to us, probably need to start tacking on a few running backs though. And we need to definitely make sure it's not a week 8 bye because we have enough of those already. But first, if he's there, we'll probably take Kraft just for the correlation with Love. The guy in the 12 hole only has 1 tight end. And he took 3 running backs early. So I think there's more of a chance that he goes with tight end. He only has the 2 quarterbacks. So he may be looking to take a quarterback, maybe like a tight end quarterback combination type thing. Hopefully Kraft makes it to us. Looks like everybody except one person in between me and my pick has one, at least one. So there's a decent chance he might make it. Overall, I definitely like this team. If you saw my first one, I definitely like this team better. It's not as gross at quarterback, but it's still what I would consider for a super flex a 0 quarterback build. We did not take our first quarterback until week 6 after everybody else had thirstily pulled up guys like Goff into the 4th round. We just waited and we took our Tyreek Hills and our Ted McMillan. Goddard just went. Our boy Kraft is still on the board. This is the guy that could potentially take him, though, as he has no tight ends and he's the top guy on the board. If he does, it's not a big deal. There's a few running backs here that we like. We could always throw the only Kyle Pitts on there. And they did indeed take Kraft. I just talked about how the 12 hole I think, potentially could take a tight end. So we're going to go ahead and take Kyle Pitts here. Because I like Davis and I like Bigsby, but Bigsby has a week 8 bye on second thought. We're going to go ahead and go Davis because he has a higher ADP. I was thinking between Eckler because I know Eckler will also be on the field for his team. Even with Robinson, the starter, they use Eckler some. Robinson's not just a true workhorse type guy. But in that case, I always like to take the higher ADP guy because we never know. There's a decent chance, or there's a chance, not decent, but there's a chance. It's getting too late. Crossing up my words. It's been a long day. Sorry about that. There is a chance that Eckler could come back to us. So we'll recap the team since we're at a turn. Little 0 quarterback magic with Jordan Love and Bryce Young, hoping that those two piece my quarterback room together until my late season hammer Milroe takes over. We're not really worried about if we miss out on some flex because we are super strong at receiver and we'll make up for it those weeks with A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Ted McMillan, Ridley, Golden, Higgins, and Harris. We're not going to take another receiver. We're going to leave it with those 3. We had 2 stud running backs in Gibbs and Genty to start our draft. Just added on Davis. And we took the one, the only One of these years, he's going to make up for all the bad. Maybe this year could be that year. Kyle Pitts. Because we have the extra picks, though, with 20 rounds, and because Kyle Pitts is my first tight end, and because I'm sticking with 7 receivers, and because I'm sticking with just 3 QBs and piecing that room together, probably going to take 4 tight ends. We'll look to throw Sanders on there since we have Young. I actually like Jatavian Sanders for where he goes in the draft. I think he's a pretty good pick that late in the draft. So we'll probably try to throw him on there as one of the 4. We are drafting $5 super flex puppies. Tomorrow we have another guest on. If you saw last night, we had Hartman on. That was a lot of fun. We drafted an eliminator team I thought turned out pretty good. We drafted a BBM team too that, I felt it was pretty good too. Tomorrow we have Who Hames, another streamer, guy who's been kind of helpful for me at least, just, answering a few questions here and there about switching over to Underdog and stuff. A lot of the charts that I've been showing you guys, like my chart that I showed you the other day for the eliminator in particular, I know that one came from his Discord. He always has a bunch of good charts and tools and stuff like that. It's not real time assistant stuff. It's just tools. And we may get lucky. That's why we took Ray Davis with the last pick, because his ADP was quite a bit higher. We could take receiver off there. I don't know why I even have it on. I don't want another receiver. And it's 2 picks away, and both of those guys have 4 running backs. There's a chance they don't take Eckler. If they do, we could go Dowdle again like we did the last team. They took Eckler. We don't have Bijan on this team, so we could go with Algier, but he went also. We're going to go for the team correlation. We're going to take old Rico. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe Chua's banged up a little bit from time to time. We waited a while to start taking our next running back after our first 2. So I'll definitely have 5. What are we in, the 16th round? Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up. I'm going to reach down a little bit just because I like him the best. We're going to go Marshawn Lloyd. We're piecing it together. Now, the 1 week we weren't worried about the bye weeks as far as not taking them. We still took Gibbs and Genty. That said, when it gets to week 8, we would like to at least have a little bit of options. So now we got Davis and Dowdle and Marshawn Lloyd. All we need is 2 of them to just give us even serviceable weeks, because the other weeks we should be really good at running back. So if 1 week we have to step back a little bit, it's not the end of the world. Let's see what these others do. That was 16. We have 4 picks left. I'm kind of thinking 3 tight ends, 1 more running back. What are we at? 3, 5, 7, 1. I think there's a good chance that's what we'll go with. I really want to stop with those 7 receivers that we have. I really want to hold with just those three quarterbacks. We'll get by with Love and Young till our late season hammer kicks it on, or whatever part of the season hammer. I really think it could be week 9. In my head, I'm trying to be realistic with my Milrose stance, because I can tell you right now my percentages is going to be probably one of the highest out there on Milrow overall. And so I'm still trying to be realistic. I heard Pat Kerrane say something today on, I think it was ADP chasing. I was listening to that earlier today. And I thought about it, and I tend to agree with him, and I tend to think that, just kind of thinking back on it, I'm the same way probably. And he was talking about how it's not the guys that he's super heavy on. It's not the 30% plus guys that he ever normally ends up having the regrets over. It's more of the 20% guys who he's way over the field on, 20%, and he kind of just got there, meaning, it was just a comfortable click on the board. But if you take a guy at the rate that I've been taking Milrow this year, then one, you think he's a smash based on his price, which I do with Milrow. Two, you've done a lot of work on him. I've dug up about everything I could possibly find as far as what the GM or coach said about him since they drafted him. I've watched hours and hours of film on the guy. And you try to be, you've analyzed it and thought about it a lot. And that is also true with Milrow, and the fact that, you know, I'm being realistic. He's not going to start the year at quarterback. I would be shocked if that happens. He's probably not starting the year at week 3, 4, 5. But I do think, depending on how they start the year, I do think he could very well be week 9 that he takes over. I'm going to pull something up for you guys and look at it in a minute. Another little part of my research that I've done on him. Like I said, I've really put an immense amount of thought and effort into deciding I wanted to be as heavy as I'm going to end up being on Milrow this year. It didn't just happen. You don't just accidentally get as much of the guy as I'm going to end up having. I was thinking about taking Giddens there. I do kind of like him, but he went. So we're going to take Chig here. As long as he doesn't go at the turn, we're going to double tap Sanders. And we'll be sitting with Pitts, Chig, and Jatavian Sanders. Slowly but surely piecing together a decent little tight end room. That'll be our 18th round pick. We'll just have the 19-20 turn. Sanders didn't go, so that works out wonderfully for us. We have Golden with Love. We missed out on Kraft, but at least we have one of them. We also have Marshawn Lloyd, who can catch some passes with Love. Another part of the team correlation, which is why I reached down a little bit for Lloyd earlier. We have Bryce. We have Dowdle. We have Tet. And now we have Sanders to go with Young. And probably, if he hangs around, I liked doing this on DraftKings a lot in the 19th and 20th rounds. I would take Aurora because I am so in on Milrow. Um, Let me go back. I'm going to share something with you guys. We got a few picks before it gets to me. How do I bring in another one? Present. I don't want to stop. I got to figure out. Share this tab instead. There we go. Sorry, I'm talking to myself trying to work this out. Let's see if that works. So, this screen here is Seattle's schedule. Let's just look at it. Remember, we have Sam Darnold as the quarterback. We have San Francisco. Then we go at Pittsburgh. Then we go back home against New Orleans. Okay, that's not a hard game. Arizona, probably a better team than Seattle. It's in Arizona on a short week. Tampa, we think they're going to be pretty hard. Their offense is going to be good at least. Jacksonville, we want to take two of their receivers in the top 4 rounds. We're thinking their offense is going to be pretty good. And then we play with Monday night at home, but against my Houston Texans, whose the defense is going to be, I think, really good this year. CJ's got some new toys to work with. It's in Seattle, but I feel like that is going to be a really tough game for Seattle before their bye week. It's going to end on a really bad note if Darnold's still there. Probably loses this game. Probably loses that game, this game. That's 3 losses. 4. I could realistically see this team 2-5 easily. Just coming off a bad Monday night game at home. You're telling me the fans aren't going to be ready for some Milrow? You're telling me the GM and the coaching staff, who just said all this good stuff about Milrow, isn't going to be ready for him? They most definitely are. That's weird. Did it not? I just realized on my other screen up there. Share this tab instead. I don't think I was live on that one. Sorry, guys. Sorry for bouncing back to this screen on you again. I was trying to figure something out. My other computer was being really, really weird with what it was showing me was actually going on YouTube. I'm still adjusting to the StreamYard thing. It is a lot better. We're back on track now. But I just wanted to show you guys the schedule, just to kind of show you part of more in depth my thinking on why I think it could very well be Milrow starting about week 9. Couple more picks till it gets to us. Probably going to take our tight end first because there's not any running backs that we love. And then we'll just grab somebody as a 6th running back on this team. Finish it off. Recap it for you guys. It's looking strong. It's looking strong. So we're going to take him. The 12 hole had 6 running backs. I don't think he'll go running back. We're going to go with Miles Sanders. Not because I love Miles Sanders, but because if nobody gets traded there, or no camp cuts or anything like that show up there, not really that in on Williams. I don't think Blue can handle a workload. So with my last pick in the draft in the 20th round as a sixth running back, sure, give him to me. Let's look at the zero RB team. We waited on our quarterback. We didn't take our first one till pick 62, didn't take our next one till pick 86. So we finished with Love and Young, late season hammer Milrow to complete the zero RB build. Super strong at running back. We have Gibbs, Genty, Ray Davis, Dowdle, Lloyd, Sanders. Receiver room, we have no problem being thin like that at quarterback because we can still get flex points from receiver. And we have A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Ted, Ridley, Golden, Higgin, and Harris. Capped it at 7, left it at that. Used the extra picks to piece together a late tight end room that we feel good enough about. I can get one good score each week from Kyle Pitts, Chig, Jatavian Sanders, and then maybe late in the year, Aurora and Milrow are doing their thing together. We got nice team correlation, if nothing else. We have Love with Marshawn Lloyd, with Matthew Golden. We have Young with Sanders and Tet, and we threw Dowdle on there, and we have Milrow with the rookie tight end. Anyways, it's JT Best Ball. It was fun tonight. Stop by tomorrow night, same time. We're going to have a guest on for you guys. Not sure exactly what we're going to draft yet. We'll find out once he gets here and we talk to him and see what he wants to do too. You guys have a good night. Talk to you later.